5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mr. Chairman, I must thank the honorable members who have participated in the debate from both sides of the House, including the Minister who has tried to explain away his position. I do not know why he is not agreeable to the amendment that is proposed here in the bill. But I must say that he has not understood the intentions behind moving this amendment. If he will kindly look into the amendment that is in section 2 of the amending bill, there I have said that in case of alien or in case of an enemy of the country, we do not ask for any relief or any relaxation, but only in the case of the people and citizen of our country that I want this thing. The United Nations have also drawn a full-length chapter on human rights. What is the reason that a man who is a citizen of India is put under detention on the subjective reasons given by somebody who does not know him personally? How the preventive detentions are taking place. So, you kindly try to understand the reason for bringing this amendment. Some people may look into the matter in their own way, in a partial way. Why a man is deprived of his personal liberty? That is my question, to which you have not replied. In my introductory speech, I have said that the situation now is worse. Whatever may be your explanation, ultimately the result is that there is no rule of law in this country. That aspect you have not replied. I do not know whether you have intentionally done so or you have deliberately avoided it. I expect at least something from you regarding the amendment which is there is section 3 of the amending bill. You should have taken it very objectively. I have no reason to say that you give protection to people of their personal property. My point is that only the land which is being distributed to the poor peasants and agricultural laborers, in that case, you make it sure that the person is given some protection. You said something in your own way. I am not a lawyer, and Shri Salve has said the Honorable Minister is not a highly educated person in that sense. From his common sense, from his personal experience, he speaks and takes decision on very serious problems. I would have gladly withdrawn the bill if the government had accepted at least section 3 of the order in which I have names here, and in order to enable them to make a meaningful speech. I will allow them 10 minutes each. The smuggler and foreign exchange racketeers are operating a parallel economy based on their ill-gotten wealth. In fact, they are in possession of fabulous wealth and are wallowing in luxury which even the grand Mughals could not dream of. I welcome and appreciate the objective and the spirit behind this legislation. This is the spirit behind the legislation. This is the first time during the last 27 years of freedom that a serious attempt is being made by the government to curb the dens of the smugglers and foreign racketeers. But as pointed out by my learned colleague Shri Somnath Chatterjee, there are many deficiencies and inadequacies in the Act itself. Therefore, the Act is simply tinkering with the colossal problem of the illegally acquired property of smugglers and racketeers. The application of this Act is restricted to 2 classes of persons, although they have been categorized in 4. This Act will apply to persons who have been convicted for an offence under the Sea Customs Act the Customs Act or the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act for the first time, and then only if the property in relation to which the offence under these acts have been committed is of the value of rupees 1 lakh or more. The second category consists of persons who have been convicted under any of these enactments more than once, irrespective of the value of the property involved in the commission of the offence. So it comes to this, that if a person who has been convicted of an offence which involves small property of rupees 300 do not come within the clutches of this law, while a person who has been convicted more than once but in relation property valued only at rupees 200 or rupees 300 will come within the purview of the legislation. I do not understand the rationale behind this sort of categorization and discrimination between these two sets of persons. The third category of persons are those who have been detained under the Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act, if in their cases, after review and after receipt of the report of the advisory committee, if any, the order have not been revoked. How we know that if a person is to be convicted, he is to be prosecuted in the first instance court, that is the magistrate's court.